Welcome to the Cup of Tea podcast, where we have conversations with practitioners, wellness professionals, and individuals who have navigated their own transformational journeys. For today's guest, we welcome the lovely Preeti, who has spent years navigating her own health journey as well as a healing practice. But before we begin, I ask you, what is in your cup?
What is in my cup? Well, today I've got hibiscus tea. I'm a big floral fan. I love teas over coffee. So yeah, when you asked me to pick a tea today, I picked hibiscus. I love the color. I like the taste. I like the healing, properties that it gives us. So what I'm going to be joining you today with.
Wonderful. I love it. It's a hibiscus kind of day today. I'm feeling
Yeah.
that as well. Um, as for your story, I
Yeah.
would like to ask, what had you begin the work that you do today?
Well, I think I've been doing this for a long time. So many of us who are, see ourselves as sensitives or healers, this is something we've been doing kind of since childhood, is just helping people and encouraging people just because we can feel so much of what they're going through. So um, I think just for me, I had to incorporate a number amount of years of experience, I believe, to get to this point and actually launch something where, I can help make a difference. So yeah, there's no real, pivot point. I think I was just ready. Came to a point where my kids were raised and it was time to give back.
Yeah. Is there a specific sort of pivot point that you had from living, I would say, a normal life and opened your eyes to the world of healing?
Oh, well, yeah, I think there were many. There were many small ones along the way. Some of them I picked up, some of them, I didn't. But life, like you said, it was chaotic. I was raising my children. And so there wasn't really much time to lift your head up or, go too far within because life just took over. I believe, well, for me, my biggest awakening was in 2020, and that was when COVID hit. And I think thousands of us really woke up and, got to see the reality of where we are.
Mm.
So, yeah, that was a big pivot point for me. And that just, it was a sharp left turn, and it took me on a trajectory that I'm not sure we're ready for. I certainly wasn't. So yeah, that was a big pivot point for me
And could you describe the type of work that you do today?
today. So today, yeah, basically, I'm not big on labels, but I call myself a healer, and really a guide. And so I guide people back home to themselves because this journey has taught me all answers lie within. And we've given so much of our power away to the external world, external reality, people, circumstances, situations. And it's really about just reclaiming all of that and coming home to yourself. So that's what I do. Together, I do one-on-one Google Meets or Zoom calls. And basically what we do together is we polish the mirror so that you can see your reflection clearly.
Mhm.
And if you can see your reflection clearly, then you're able to, move with informed decisions, decisions that come from here rather than here.
Yes, absolutely. Would you say then that your practice is centered around beliefs and the subconscious mind?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's all encompassing. Yeah, it's more centered. Yeah, it's centered around also breaking loops. I think a lot of us, we're looping. We go to work Monday to Friday, and it's 9 to 5, and then the weeks turn into months, into years. And so, and looping in that aspect, but also looping in, let's say, relationships. People often are attracting the same type of person, and there's a sense of frustration, like, why does this keep happening to me? So I think what I do best is allow an individual to bring one area that they're frustrated in. And what I do is I bring clarity into it. So I cut across it and we unpack it. And through unpacking it, they really, they get led inwards, you know, and then once you're inside and you can actually hear and your mirror is clean so you can see a true reflection, you know, and then you can go from there. So I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm not a healer. I channel, you know, maybe my higher self and source mother
Mm-hmm.
or source creator directly. That's it for me. But really, it's just, yeah, bringing it all back home to themselves so that, you know, they can move forward and just see things clearly.
Mm-hmm. Could you talk a little bit more about how you channel?
So channeling, I know there's a lot of people that do channel different species and you know, different groups of people out there. For me, it was never a thing. So I've always been connected to Source Creator. So I feel for me, in terms of being here, incarnating here, I'm, you know, how do I say this properly? So people kind of try to identify themselves. I'm Andromedan or I'm from here. And this is just energies that they pick up and they feel familiar to. So yeah, for me, my information just comes in dumps. So everyone's different. Mine's just knowings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I hear voices or that I can see my higher self
Mm-hmm.
or angelic realm. I just get these dumps that come in and then I have to unpack them.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm speaking, things will just kind of fall in and then flow out. So
Right.
that's the process in which I use.
And is that the knowing? Is that a clear understanding, or is it more of a picture-esque that you have to decipher?
Yeah, good question. So no, it's not visual. It's just information that comes in, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, you know, I'll have a thought come through, and so that's how it happens for me. And it happens just through my waking state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always kind of on. I don't really need to get into any deep type of meditation
Mm-hmm.
for it to come through. So it's just a channel that I think is always running. And then
Mm-hmm.
as I choose to open that, you know, the lid, you know, I allow
Mm-hmm.
information to come down and through.
Do you think that that happened as you were in or your earlier part of your life? Do you think that happened and you didn't realize that that was happening to you?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think, and many of us, and even your viewers can probably attest, because if they're watching this, I'm sure that they're, you know, they're really resonating with this information that we're talking about. But yes, as a child, you know, you just feel different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I felt like I wasn't cut from the same cloth as many of the others around me. So I used to isolate myself a lot, not traumatically, just, you know, I would have a lot of alone time. I felt I spent a lot of time alone as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I did have friends, you know, out there, but I felt like almost like you feel like no one really truly understands you,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So everything then goes inwards and you have a lot of these inner conversations. So yeah, I knew I was different,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't understand that realm at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it wasn't till later on, till you know you have more experience and maturity, that you start to tap into some of this stuff and put the pieces and the coincidences, which there are none,
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And was there a time or a person at that time in your life when you started to uh, take hold of that confidence in the claircognizant aspect? Was there somebody that helped you cultivate that?
Great question again. You know what? My father was very much into esoteric. So what I mean by that is astrology. He was into all of these self-help books, Think and Grow Rich, and you know, all of these. So it was always around me, and I would gravitate to them because it resonated.
Mm,
You know, he was a, yeah, he was. He was religious and spiritual at the same time. So it's a bit of a conflict. So, but there was enough exposure out there, and he was into astrology, and so was my mother. So I think a lot of that in my early childhood helped me to be open
Mm-hmm.
that way and not closed off to that part of, the esoteric world.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I very much was, astrology, tarot card reading was big for me. And I think that helped me to better understand myself because I did a lot of that reading and numerology at a young age.
Wow.
Having said that, though, I didn't connect the dots at that time in terms of, channeling higher self. And there was because they weren't also aware of that either.
Mm-hmm.
So although I had the exposure of kind of the 3D surface esoteric information,
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't quite put the dots together till much, much later in my journey.
And what made you connect those dots later in life?
It was just the higher self speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's that soft voice, and it's
Mm-hmm.
that, I think this is where we're challenged. There's a louder voice, and then there's that subtle,
Mm-hmm.
soft, very loving voice. And it got louder.
Okay.
And it got louder to the point where you just couldn't ignore it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and that was them like, all right, I had to pay attention, like what's going on here. So that was probably maybe about 15 years ago
Okay. Yeah.
that I really started listening to that voice saying, okay, you know what, it's trying to tell me something,
Mm-hmm.
and just living more through my inner knowing
Mm-hmm.
rather than the outside noise and chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that took time, right? Because it is journey. It's not something that just lands all in one day. It comes and then you got to slowly unpack it
Mm-hmm.
uh, and discover more.
I find it interesting that you haven't, a lot of people would say that that's intuition, but I find it interesting that you haven't used that particular word yet. And I'm just curious if there's any reason behind that.
No particular reason. Yeah, it probably was my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're born with all of these gifts already intact. How we use them and how we open them up as we go along in life. Uh, so yeah, I'm not a huge label girl. I try
Mm-hmm.
to, keep things very basic because I don't want anyone to get lost in any of this.
Right.
So I just try to keep it, yeah, my higher self and intuition. So you're right. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
is intuition, although I just didn't say it.
with with having parents that were in the esoteric world involved in numerology and astrology, do you find that you had an earlier awakening than other people in the realm of that you have in a way control over your life, like destiny, and you can see it?
Not me.
No.
So although, yeah, I was not that story. Although my parents, or it was mostly my father, so although he was reading these books and whatnot, it's something different to have knowledge, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different thing to have wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge, when put in place, turns into wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't apply it and live it, then it just remains knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they had a lot of knowledge. But again, in that generation, the programmings that were done onto them when they were born, were very different than the ones that I had and even your generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they wanted to go in the right direction, but they had a lot of programmings like survival, scarcity mindset. There was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fear. So I'm grateful for that exposure because what it did for me, Santana, is it helped me to keep my heart open.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of rare. So I feel, and I've talked to many people, usually we have these traumatic experiences as a child and we close our hearts. And that was kind of what was expected of us in this realm, was to close your heart and lock everything out and then go without for all your answers and identity, etc. But I happen to keep my heart open despite whatever traumas, we journey through. So no, back to the question, no, I didn't, although they had that knowledge and that exposure was there, sometimes I think that was there for me,
Mm-hmm.
keep my heart open for, to help me through my journey. Because there was a lot of fear, program, scarcity mindset. And so I picked up on a lot of that. So I guess I was a child who kind of teetered back and forth for many, many years, understanding the spiritual aspect, but couldn't quite open that cup up because
Mm,
I had all of these traumatic programs running.
right. And then at, I would say the 2019 point was when you started to open that up.
That completely opened up. So what happened was the lid just came off. And I think it was because many of us maybe, should have gotten the message years before, but they're like, all right, this is the lid's coming off and now you got to deal with it. So that was a huge awakening. It really, it was a very scary time for me because I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was that something was terribly wrong. And it was just this feeling, but nobody around me saw it.
Wow.
So I was very much alone. My children were still young. One was just graduating high school. The other one had just graduated a couple years. So I was still in the thick of, helping them to, kind of figure out who they are and schooling and all of this stuff. So everything came at one go. Uh, all of the, the pokey information started downloading, and then all of the information about the nature of this reality started
Mm,
downloading. And then my heart started opening up. And, uh, the more awareness you bring, the more light you're able to bring in. It's just clearing density. And so what happens is your frequency shifts.
hmm.
And so my relationship at that time also ended. So it was so much at one go
Yeah.
happening. And I was very scared because at that point, I didn't understand the ascension journey. Yes, there was a spiritual aspect within me, but I didn't know at that point that there was also another ascension journey that I was going to be on. So I was just dealing with the 3D elements, the
Hmm.
3D chaos, and then going down all of these rabbit holes,
Hmm.
learning. So I was incessant at that time. I did hundreds, I would say thousands of hours of research and reading because that's the only way to learn. Like you're not going to hear it on television, right? They're
Hmm.
not going to, the truth can't be told. The truth has to be discovered.
Hmm.
And that's what I learned, that no one's going to come and tell you. So I did a lot of research to understand. The more awareness I started bringing into my reality, the more fear dissipated because it's when we don't understand is that we get caught up in the fear and the chaos and all of this. So yeah, so I just started reading, I started understanding, and that took me up till 2022. And that's when I realized that there is a spiritual aspect and journey to this, um, that was bigger than anything that I was even aware of all through, my life.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive. That is very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Would you say that it's been well received by your friends and family for you to pursue this style of life?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they don't understand it. And
Mhm.
so initially I was, you do that, you try to tell everyone, hey, look, I've discovered this. This is what I found. But, I learned the hard way, that you can't wake anybody up. You can't, give somebody truth. So, yeah, just repeat the question. I'm sorry, I lost my track.
No, it's okay. I think that's fine. It's I think that I honestly forget it as well. It's
Yeah.
fine. But I think that it's difficult to navigate these kinds of life paths with alternative healing and just knowing that there is the opportunity for people to get to a root cause of a chronic symptom, whether that's physical, the root cause could actually be mental, it could be emotional. And I'm just curious if you could put one before the other, what would you say comes first, emotions or thoughts?
Well, hmm, I think thoughts, everything starts with a thought,
Mm-hmm.
and I remembered the previous question, by the way. It was, do
Okay.
they accept it? And, and this one goes into the other. No, the people around you won't always understand, especially when you are in a forward movement and you've got a mission and you've got a role here to play. I think that going through that experience of, the family loves you and that there was no love lost. They just couldn't understand me. And then I was also losing my connection
Mm.
with them only because, I couldn't entertain so much the 3D
Yeah.
verbiage
Mm-hmm.
and that type of banter.
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned through that all was that, what, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You have to follow your heart, and that takes courage and strength. So to all of you viewers out there who are following your heart and who have the courage to do it, despite, what anyone may say or feel, I really commend you all. So please keep going. And then the other question, thought or emotion? Yes, everything comes from thought. And I think there's a process. Thoughts enter, and it's up to us how we choose to receive that information or those thoughts. And so I think the big thing for me is, I teach people to respond versus react. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just through awareness. So many of us, again, have been programmed to react. This is a
Mm-hmm.
world of reaction. This is why they put the news that they do and the posts that they do, because they want to conjure up a reaction. That's what feeds the matrix.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm very big on eliminating all charge. Don't feed any. Stay
Mm.
curious.
Mm.
Be interested, because that takes all charge out of it versus reacting to
Mm-hmm.
something. So there is a process from thought to emotion. And I believe that when we have these emotions, if we're not identifying or looking at them, and if they stay there long enough, then it translates into physical form, which
Mm-hmm.
then gets into your body.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a process. It's an intelligent process. And a lot of the emotions that we don't look at, that we sweep under the rug, and we've all done it, they get stored. They don't go away because it's energy. You have
Mm-hmm.
to transmute or transform energy. It doesn't just disappear. So it gets stored in your fascia, it gets stored in your bones, in your tissues, in your, cellular structure, till it can come up to be seen again and transmuted.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope
Absolutely.
that
Yeah,
answers your question.
absolutely. I that is
All
one.
connected.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfectly connected. But that is definitely one thought that I have ruminated over, and I over whether it's the thought or the emotion comes first. But I think that's a very eloquent way of wording it, elegant way of wording it. Sorry. And as far as you stepping into your power in 2019, what inspired you to create the business to help others?
So, like I said, I've always been doing it, just not as a an offering.
Okay.
And I just needed to come to a place where I felt, okay, I've got enough here, because we're going through a whole global transition, and there's a process involved here. So I guess, some people say frontliners, first waivers, way showers, whatever label you want to give it. I'm a part of that group.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to just ignorantly launch something without me embodying
Mm-hmm.
that. So, and for me, everything's about walking in coherence,
Mm-hmm.
being, you know, walking with your values, your beliefs intact, and no matter what, and speaking your truth, even though your voice shakes, because we all know what the right thing is. We all know, but we let the monkey mind kind of get in the way of the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and we let it take over. So yeah, for me, yeah, I hope that answers your
It
question.
it does. I feel as though your business clarity cuts allows people to live consciously. Would you say that that's a good way of putting it?
Absolutely. And I don't see myself as someone who fixes anything. I just meet you where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, it's all about bringing power back rather than, there's many people who, promote, I can tell you what you are and I can tell you where you come from. And that's all great. But where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Exactly.
that's where we need to focus on. And I can channel and do this and do that. But is that leading somebody back home? Is
Mm-hmm.
that giving the power back to the individual so that they can make the best decisions moving forward for themselves in coherence to their
Mm-hmm.
values and their beliefs? And so I don't want anyone dependent on me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people coming back every month because, they need more answers. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, do come if you feel you're in a loop and you need help to cut through it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I call myself Clarity Cuts, because I try to show a clear picture, that clear reflection by cutting through the noise. And so the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I think I do very well, and we all have gifts, perhaps this is mine, is that I have the ability to take the stinger out of any bite. And once that stinger's out and it's no longer stinging, the emotion gets washed away. So once you're not emotionally attached now and you can see that picture through neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
then I allow them to move forward. So I will never tell anyone what to do, but I will unpack what you bring to my table
Mm-hmm.
together with you, and then allow that individual to move forward to make their own decisions.
Would you say that the neutrality has anything to do with not desiring anything, like as though the style that monks live by?
No, because this is an embodied ascension journey. We have to be physical in our bodies. So it's okay. Like my philosophy, it's okay to like things. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
to like money. Money's an energy. We've got all of these belief systems. We're in a material world. Where we're moving, there's also material
Mm-hmm.
there. So it's more about having and enjoying the things you have, but not being attached to anything.
Right.
Because that's when the magic comes in. That's when you can instantly manifest. Manifestation, the reason why many people don't land their manifestations is because they're attached to it emotionally, or they have
Mm-hmm.
these deep subconscious underlying fears or emotions still.
Mm-hmm.
So the universe doesn't speak English. The universe speaks frequency. That's it. There's no bias. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't see if you're good, or it just speaks frequency. What you put out is what you're bringing in, because this is a reality of mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're projecting this reality out, and everyone is an aspect, a mirror aspect, trying to show us something and teach us something. We're all players, right? We're all playing roles for each other. So I try to help people to see that,
Mm-hmm.
to take the charge out of any situation,
That's
and yeah, and come back to themselves.
That's wonderful. That's really important work. I also love it that you're a mother and able to give this type of wisdom to children as well. I
Mm.
know they're not little anymore, but that's very amazing that you have that opportunity to affect people, whether it's in your own family or now clients. And I think that, like you said, the frequency that the this reality runs on, that has been I have claircognizance as well, and that has been pushed into my brain very aggressively ever since September of last year. And it's just been one lesson after the other to understand how it works. And
Yeah.
that's not my first awakening, though. That was just the first time that I ever received a message from the universe per se. Before I personally received messages like it would be forcing me to do a certain type of fascia exercise, and I had to do it.
Right.
And so I did, and that's how I discovered that the emotions get stuck in the fascia
Mhm.
because there was a vision that went over my mind's eye that of a traumatic experience that I had. And it's like, why would that happen? Like, I'm not even thinking about that, right? So it was just for me one thing after the other that was just like, this is obviously how the world actually is, and
Yeah.
we're not quite being taught
At
how
all.
yeah, how to
Or
even function in this world, and make a life that is not in survival, make a life that's worth living. So that to me, I think, is extremely important to share, especially with your business and your message. And I think what you're doing is wonderful. And I really appreciate you sharing the little bits that you have. But is there anything that within your transformation that allowed you, when you went from the knowing the stuff but not really applying it, is there something that happened in a pivotal moment that made you apply this work
like before my awakening, are
to
you asking?
change? Yeah.
I've always been, like I said, I've walked with my heart open for the
Hmm.
most part. So, people say, "Oh, yeah, that's great," but you get a lot more bumps. There are a lot more bumps in your road. So for me, because of my role now for the collective heading into new earth, I guess I chose, and it's funny because the things you don't want to do is exactly the mission you've chosen. So
That is
um
the funniest thing I've ever heard.
it is, yeah, and
I
it's
agree.
like, yeah, everything that I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want this, and I'm talking to my team of light. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing, what I've done, and it just sometimes it ticks you off a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, really? Come on, guys. So I was pretty naive my whole life, and I
Mm.
think it was set purposefully that way because I'm just so open to things. So had I had
Mm.
channelings or had I had, visions of, again, remember, these controllers can show any form. And I
Yes.
would have bought right into it. So I know purpose. I think I shut all of that down for a reason. And I had maybe small moments, but it didn't register as awakenings like yourself, which I think is beautiful. And I think they deliberately kept me this way to keep me clean
Right.
from these infiltrations.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
they shapeshift, right? So they can form any shape and they can show you a beautiful angel. And
Yeah.
you think you're speaking to your team, but you're not. So I would have been very naive with all of this.
Okay.
So, yeah, and again, I'm sorry, the energies are so high today. I don't know if you know about
Yes.
Barbalt's alignment.
Yes.
Yeah, so my mind is a little, and we got a power of 90 on the Schumann. So please forgive me
It's
because,
okay.
yeah,
You are speaking my language. I absolutely love that you're so candidly expressing all of this because
yeah.
I understand all of it. And it's very rare to have someone that is talking about it so easily.
Well, I think we have to now, Santana. I think the time has come. So,
Mhm,
I really feel those who resonate, they're going to find you. And
mhm.
can I just say, I'm so thankful, firstly, and honored that you thought of me and had me on your show. Secondly, that you had the courage and the gumption to get up and to start a podcast, and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of courage because you're right, there isn't many of us that are speaking new language.
Mhm.
But we're coming together. We're
Mhm.
finding each other just like this
Mhm.
through, divine
Yes.
alignment is what
Yes.
I believe. It's
Oh,
no,
absolutely.
and the tribes are coming together. So yes, and I'm happy that I wasn't sure exactly because there's so much knowledge. So I try to meet my clients, the people that I speak to at their level. So
Mhm.
today it just came out. So
Ah,
see again,
wonderful.
well, they're just again, I don't even think about it. So it just tells me that I'm in a space where I believe it may expand to this type of conversations more often, just to let you
Yes.
know.
That's the plan. That is the
Yes,
plan. So
I'm just
thank
the
you.
messenger.
That's wonderful. That's giving me goosebumps. I love that.
Yeah,
Um, I personally don't feel as though I can connect with my higher self and get those kind of messages quite at this point yet, but I
sure.
absolutely do see when people do, and I have the gift of discernment, so I'm able to tell when people are being deceiving or not, and sometimes that's really difficult in this 3D matrix.
Yes, it
But
is.
with people like you, it's just so easily to connect with. And I just knew right away that I wanted to have you on the show. So thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank
But
you.
before we wrap up today,
Sure.
we have about 2 more minutes before this
Yeah.
cuts out. Is there any type of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience?
Yeah, well, wisdom. Let's see. I would say, listen to your heart, folks. All answers are within. Trust yourself. Love yourself more. Don't worry so much what others are saying because this is your journey and it's a beautiful one. And where we're going, it's absolutely magnificent. So reach out for help. There's many people out there. You don't have to be going through any of this alone. I know many people are going through confusion and they're afraid and they don't know direction and they have so much within them. So I would say, please don't feel alone. There are many of us out here that are able to help you and guide you. Just as an aside, Santana, I work a lot with young adults. That's a group that I've really resonated with from 18 to 28, let's say. I had to kind of put an age range on that. And I do free biweekly drop-in calls. So
Amazing.
it's for anyone who is just feeling stuck. It's a place to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. And it's very informal. You can keep your camera off or on. So I just wanted to put that out there for your
Absolutely.
viewers. If there's anyone who, is in need and would, is looking for a place, that's available. Okay.
Wonderful.
Take what resonates and leave the rest. So.
And where would we be able to find your information? Is it at Clarity Cuts
Yeah.
for all platforms?
Yeah, it's Clarity Cuts. So Clarity Cuts Pretty is like a Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Okay, excellent.
So yeah, you can find that information. If they just DM me, I will send them a link. It's the same link every 2 weeks. And tomorrow is the next call. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's available for anyone who wants to join.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again for coming on the show. And if you would like to find Preeti on any of the social media, that will be listed below in the video. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a full cup today. Thank you so much, Preeti. I
Thank
really
you very
appreciate it.
much. Thank you all, and stay in your hearts, everyone. Keep your heart open. That's the direction we're going. And I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you,
Thank
Santana.
you. I have so many goosebumps, high vibrations. You're a wonderful person. Thank
We'll be in
you.
touch. All right, my
Take
love. Take
care.
care. Bye.